Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, we are talking about all things regarding doubt. And this is going to be a little bit about when you doubt yourself and also when others doubt you. And I'm going to share 3 stories when I was definitely doubted and how I pulled through and how those 3 doubtful stories have become part of my story and how I transgress through other parts of my life. Let's talk about why overcoming doubt and facing doubt is an important part of your dance journey. So, for one, as we know, because we've talked about this, there is so much doubt that comes in the beginning of your dance journey. And it can come in again for different reasons. For example, when you injure yourself, when you're not casted for something that you believe that part to be yours, you can experience doubt when your partner isn't supportive of your new dance goals. You can feel doubt when you're not getting something that you see other people getting. So there's a lot of things around doubt. And at the end of the day, it comes down to self-validation, which we're going to do an episode about very soon. And being able to validate yourself in order to push through doubt and almost use doubt as a catalyst and motivation for your success. So let's go back to high school and my AP physics class and my very cute teacher, Dr. Hinkle. He was a great teacher. He was so good at making everything so fun for physics, and that was cool. It was my senior year, and I was tripling up on sciences because I just despised history, and my Spanish teacher was just not good. So I was like, okay, whatever, we'll just triple up on science. So it's senior year and he was just the best. He was just so cool. He was interested in where we were going for college. He was creative with his experiments. We did this egg drop and it was famous around the school. If you had Dr. Hinkle, you were going to do the egg drop and it was a fun thing. You would literally get to go on the roof of the high school and drop the egg and see if yours was safe. One thing that he did do though was he doubted me. And it was senior year and my brother was already in college and it was time for our family vacation, which was now going to be in March over his college vacation and not over my break, which was February vacation, which meant I got to miss 5 days of school. And what that also meant was during a time where it was crucial for our attendance. And I just remember it being very important to be there because we were learning something that was really difficult. And then we were also getting ready for our science fair projects. And being the dancer that I am, I chose to measure the torque of a pirouette. And it was just a really cool concept because I actually got to measure it and it was just really cool. So I had built this Lazy Susan thing and then had these pulleys that were on each part of the corners of the platform. And then they had a measurement thing and then you calculated all the measurements and it was just cool because I found my answer. Do I remember it? No. And I remember him saying, because I was obsessed with getting A's, I wanted straight A's. And he was like, you're not going to get an A if you miss. I think he might have even said you're not going to do good. You're going to be horrible if you're missing school. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to not go on vacation with my family because of AP physics. And also I was already accepted into college. So I was just okay, well, it's fine. Okay, so be it. And then I was also to him, I was okay. And then to myself and my family, I was bitch, watch me. And I was so ready to just far exceed any kind of expectation that I even had on myself for this class. And it was also really cool because it was just kind of a big deal, like, to be in this class, because I think there was only like a certain amount of kids in this class. Like, it was just cool to be in this class. And I knew that, like, okay, 5 days is really gonna like really like hurt my grade. Like, okay, maybe if you're like not me, maybe if you don't care. And I obviously cared. So what did I do? I decided to like work extra hard to get my science fair project done way earlier than everybody else. And that was really like it. Like, it was kind of like, okay, I found the hack. I found the way that I could totally just be successful in something that was already told to me that I would be unsuccessful in. So I took his doubt and I found a solution that was going to allow me to still get what I wanted, which was a good grade. And part of that is staying with it. Part of that is like not letting someone else's doubt rub off onto you. And this is also something to consider because it kind of depends on the relationship that you have. If it's your parents that are doubting you, that's going to hurt a little bit more. If it's your significant other doubting you, that's going to hurt maybe more than your physics teacher. And our relationship was high, like, I'm in your class, but like, I didn't so much care what he thought of me. I just kind of just wanted my grade and to like peace out. And I wanted like the video that he made for every grade. It was just like this really cute thing that he did. And I cannot find it right now, but I need to find it because it's hilarious. It's like so funny. But anyway, so that was one instance where I took doubt and turned it around and brought it to my favor because I actually did get an A. And the semesters prior to that, I think it was like an A- or something like that. So I like stepped up my game and I remember being like, yo, like, Dr. Hinkle, like, do you see what I did here? Did you see this? And he was like, wow, yeah, good job. And again, like, getting back to self-validation, like, I got to validate myself for that because I worked hard and I got it done and I still succeeded. Now, another instance of self-doubt came in college. And this was when I first began teaching Zumba. So I started teaching Zumba in the summer before my sophomore year. And I knew that my college did not have Zumba. And I knew that it was this up and coming thing. And it was just really cool. And it was a struggle a little bit at college because I wanted to be so involved with everything. Like, if there was a club, I probably tried out for it. And I actually did calculate that I think I tried out for like 13 different things because, of course, like, when you're touring the school, they're going to be like, you can get involved with everything and you can do as many clubs as you want and you can do this. And I was like, okay, like, let me do it all. And yeah, like, no, that was not true. Like, you have to try out, audition, and make the clubs that you want to be in. So you cannot be in all the clubs that you want to be in just because you want to be in them. So I remember, obviously, I was on the dance company and I was a retreat leader. And I tried out to be an aerobics instructor. And really that like helped me find my life path. And it was just funny because there was like a little flyer and it was like aerobics instructors. And it was a student-led type thing in my freshman year, not in my sophomore year, but we're going to get to that in a second. And it was just like funny because at that point I was like, all right, I've already tried out for so many clubs and it's just like, whatever, what's another one? So I actually went into this one jokingly and mockingly. I even like told the girls, like, we lived in what we used to call the Virgin Vault because it was like 10 floors, only girls. In fact, like, no guys were allowed in there and they had a security guard. Anyway, if you know, you know. Providence College. And I gathered up the girls and I was like, I got to practice like with you guys. So we went into the common area and I like just kind of mockingly did this class that, you know, I didn't have training at that point. It was just an audition. That summer I did get my training. And I just remember they were like, you're great at this. You're so good at, but I was just like, I'm just going to do it just because it's like, whatever. What have I got to lose? You know, because at that point I have already tried other clubs and didn't get in. So yeah, so I went to my audition and like I did the exact same thing that I prepared and they loved it. They thought it was like funny and cute and motivating. And when you're instructing, like, you want to be able to say things like fast and you want to say it in a way that like someone's going to be able to get it. And you're teaching different types of populations. And like, this was just stuff that I kind of just knew in the back of my head. Like, again, this was before my training, but it was just like obvious to me, like, that, okay, like, people are going to need to like know what you're talking about when you're referencing something. So I remember like showing them this kind of like a stretch for your hip flexor and saying, okay, like make sure your knee's over your ankle and your legs should make the shape of a letter L for love. And it was like really cute. And I remember getting like great feedback on that. And like people just been, oh, like you made it so like we really understood like what you were talking about. And anyway, so because it was student run, there was this gal who was a bully. Like she was just really not nice. And I don't know, she just like, she kind of like put her 2 cents into the other girls and the ones that were kind of like leading that program. And she was like, well, like we'll have her, like meaning me, we'll have her as an aerobics instructor, but she's not going to be able to start until she's like further along in her sophomore year. So this is freshman year that I'm trying out. And she wanted me to wait all the way till like January of next year to start. And I was like, okay. I just realized that this story is like a double doubt situation. And it couldn't be more perfect to share with you. So maybe that was threatening to her. Like, okay, here's this freshman, like she's coming in. Okay. But like, I'm not teaching the class that you're teaching like yet. So that summer I got my license to teach Zumba and I got my certification for personal training. I got my certification for instructing fitness and my CPR and everything that I needed. And I remember going into college that year in the fall and just like scoping out because we had this new facility that had just been built. And it just so happened that they have now transferred this club from a student run club to we actually have a person that's like hired by the school to, she's the new one in charge. So I went to her office and I was like, hi, I'm Chrissy. And she was like, oh yeah, like I hear you're going to be one of our instructors next year. And I was like, yeah, about that. This summer, I got my license for Zumba and I saw that you don't have it anywhere on your schedule. So I thought maybe it would be like a good opportunity to start that since it's like up and coming and it's going to be really popular. And she was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And she was like, the thing is though, like we're going to have it like on a slot that's like not a popular slot because you're not supposed to be able to teach right now. So I was like, okay. So she shows me the schedule and she shows me like the popular slots, like the 7 o'clock, the 5:30, the 6 o'clock. And I was like, how about 10:30 p.m.? And she was like, okay. And so just so that you know, the campus gym closes at midnight. So I was like 10:30. That's like perfect because I can go and I can do the stuff that I need to do for dance company. And dance company isn't going to run later than 10 o'clock or 9:30. So I'll be able to like buzz back up to upper campus and then teach my class 10:30 to 11:30 and then peace out before the gym closes. I did the calculations, baby. So I was like, how about 10:30? And she was like, oh, well, you can try it. Like you can try it. And I was like, okay. And so I did. And like there was doubt. Okay, so now I'm experiencing doubt from the people that I'm going to be teaching with. Ooh, I forgot to tell you, some of these people were on the dance company, which was like, it's a longer story. So feeling the doubt from them and then feeling the doubt now from the person that was in charge about this time slot that was going to be unsuccessful potentially, because it's late at night. And like my idea was like, okay, well, like I would do it. And I'm a person, so like other people might be like me and want to do it too. And also like if it doesn't work, we'll just change it. Like we can make it earlier. We can, trial and error that stuff because that's what owning a business is like, really, is trial and error. So there we were, started the class and it just took off. And I'm telling you this because that was doubt and I felt the doubt. And I was like, there was some type of way that I was feeling like about it. I was like, okay, here's this thing that I really want to do now. And here's another moment of kind of rejection in a way, because it's like you can start, but you're not like, I'm not old enough. Like, I'm sorry. I thought I was like over 18 and I could do this by myself now. To see that there was like still seniority, like, I don't know. It overall felt really weird. So I was feeling that. And I also was like, okay, like that's just how it is. And in the meantime, like I have these other activities that I can do and participate in, and I'll wait my time if I have to. And it did go off with a bang, and it was really successful. And like I would have like upwards of like 100 people in my classes at 10:30 p.m. Obviously not during finals week, but it was incredibly successful, and people looked forward to their Zumba nights, and there was lines out the door, and then it's funny because I remember when I graduated, like they still kept that time slot on the schedule, which is funny to think about now because I think they now like brought it down. I mean, even restaurants now close earlier than they did back in the day. But the point is, it was great. And there is something that happens when someone doubts you, and it's this energy of like, well, I got to prove myself now. And it could be that your energy goes into it harder. It could be that it goes into the same that it would. The point is, though, that you stick with it and you stick through it. And you combat the doubt. Now, if the situation had turned out differently and it really wasn't a good time slot, there still would be a story that I would be sitting here telling you about. And that's because when you can overcome doubt, it becomes part of your personality. It becomes part of something that you get to do whenever there's a doubtful moment. So that means that when you doubt yourself, you're able to be like, whoa, like, don't be like those people who doubted you, number one. And two, why are you doubting yourself? Where's the evidence? And at that point, all the evidence that you're going to have is all the times that you've overcome doubt. The last story, I feel like maybe I don't need to share this story now because I feel like I've kind of like told you it, but because at the beginning I said I was going to share 3 stories, so now I'm going to share 3 stories. So the other story of doubt was, again, to do with school. And this has to do with my math teacher. This is going back to 7th or 8th grade. And math was just tricky for me. And I think it's because like during school, I don't think I was paying attention in the right ways. I think I was paying attention to other things that were more important to me potentially. Or they were just lousy teachers. I don't really know because I'm not there right now to like be like, oh yeah, I see. So there was this instance where I think I realized like, okay, I might need some help with math. And my parents and I decided like, why don't I get a tutor? And this was a pivotal point of school because this was like when you got chosen to like be in the more advanced classes, which could allow you to just like have a better trajectory towards college, which was my goal. That's in 7th grade. And so I had this tutor and she was awesome. And I like got badass at math. And so I went to the first test after like working with my tutor and I like got 100, like 100. And I will never forget this, and neither will my parents, and probably neither will one other teacher. And I just remember sitting in my class, not my math class, my English class, and my math teacher barging into the English rooms and pointing at me and like taking her finger and like saying, Chrissy, come here. And I remember being like, oh my God, like what just happened? And she brought me to her classroom. Like she had kids in that classroom at this time. And she was like in the hallway, she was like, I think you cheated on your math test. And she was like huffy and she was mad and she was like all ready to like punish me. So she took me into the room and she like made up, she gave me like another test. It's like, oh, she like wrote another test out, handwritten, and she was like, do these problems. And I was like, okay. So I like sat down, but I was like a kid. So I was like kind of like panicky and like my body was shaking and I was nervous and I was just like, what's happening? I thought I did so good on that test. And I just remember saying like, I'm not going to do this right now. And she's like, oh, you're not going to do it? Okay, well, we'll go to the principal's. Like she was so ready to punish me. It was kind of crazy. So then I went to my favorite teacher's room and I was like, Miss, like, I don't want to say names. This just happened. And she was like, Cristina Maria. And she was like, hold on. And she like just put her class on pause. And she was just like, my Spanish teacher. And she was like, let's go. Like, and we'll call your parents and da 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 da. So my parents right now at this moment, they're at work. My dad's probably mid-surgery, and my mom is the office manager, and guess what they do? They come right down to the principal's office where I was headed for my potential cheating, right? And this is the best part. So she got to talk to my parents, and my parents then got to tell her, like, we've invested in a tutor, and she's been working really hard. And I'm like so happy to hear that she got 100. So then she was like, well, also the answer key, and it was like boxes over the answers, and I always like boxed my answers instead of like the sloppy circle, because no one can like draw an exact circle, so I boxed it because you could at least make it like really even. So wouldn't you know, she was like, well, the answer key had boxes. So my dad at that moment was like, Chrissy, pull out your homework, and like literally had me flip through every problem I've ever done for that class and how everything was a box, a box. And like I just remember hearing about this and her just like being like sitting there and just being like, well, like I'm sorry. Like, and then, my grades were A's again, like throughout that whole entirety of that class and also into college. So it was just funny, the heaviness of doubt in that moment where I was accused of cheating, like because I was doing good, and like the measures that someone can go to when you're succeeding and when you're doing something that's really good. And it saddens me actually to like revisit this story, because I'm like, I can imagine myself then just being like so full of light and like proud of myself and happy and like feeling success maybe for like the first time in math, and like her just dampening my spirit and like literally like putting water on my flames. Those are not the only 3 stories I have of this. And I'm sure you're sitting there listening and you're like, guess what? I have stories that are very similar to that too. And that hurts me a little bit to know that that is like something that we all experience, this heaviness of doubt. And I know that also, you can experience this from people doubting you. And also you can experience it from so many times potentially of experiencing it from other people doubting you, that you just learn to doubt yourself and you learn this behavior of doubt. And then you get into a situation where you build up imposter syndrome and you build up this kind of wall in front of the part of you that knows that you could achieve it, whatever it might be, in this case, dance. But because you've gotten used to and accustomed to, well, why don't I throw some doubt in the mix? Because we need that, as opposed to how do I leave the doubt out? And how do I keep that away from the things that I'm doing? How do I protect what I'm doing from doubt? And that's what we're going to go into right now. I don't believe that doubt is gone for good for me. I think there's going to be a bunch of other situations where doubt might come into play. And I have strategies now to be like, oh, that's doubt. oh, you? Okay, bitch, we don't talk to you. And this is what they are. So 1, staying true to yourself 100% completely and understanding your why. There is so much research around understanding your why in terms of doing activities and doing things that you want to bring into your life. If you can really, in a deep level, understand your why. In fact, Simon Sinek, I think that's how you say his last name, he has a book called Starting with Why. And you get to really investigate your why. So for me, like in all those situations, like why? Okay, why did I want to be an aerobics instructor? Because I wanted to teach aerobics. Okay, well, why did I want to do that? Well, because I wanted to be involved. I wanted to feel like I had something to give. Why? Because the theory with why is that you can always go to a level deeper than you just were. And when you keep going deeper, you get the actual answer. So for example, if someone's saying like, oh, Chrissy, like I really want to lose weight. Well, I can say, well, why? They can say, okay, well, I'm overweight. Then I can say, okay, well, why is that important to you that you lose weight now? Like, why? Well, because, I want to be able to feel fit and feel healthy and, feel good about myself and like look good in clothes. Okay, well, why? And then you just go so much deeper. And maybe it's, well, the last time I was seeing my grandkids, like I wasn't able to like move around and like play with them or keep up with them. Or the last time that I looked at myself, I just like cried in the mirror and I realized like I actually hate myself. And like, so real deep answers will come to you when you ask yourself why. And if you know your why like that, then you know exactly what to say to doubt, because doubt's going to be like, well, you don't need this. You can't do this. And then you're going to be like, well, I need to be able to do this. I get to be able to do this because insert why. So, step 1, staying true to yourself completely and understanding your why. Step 2 is separating a fact from a feeling. So, doubt is a feeling, it's not a fact. So, if we can separate it and understand that, okay, right now I'm just feeling this feeling of doubt, and know how to remove it or let it pass or let it be there for a second, and then know how to understand it's like an emotion, like just how you can be mad for a second and it's fleeting, or you can be happy and then maybe the next day you're not. So doubt is more of an emotion than it is a fact. 3, this is where you get to revisit moments of where you've overcome doubt. This is where you get to just revisit your power in general, and you get to have a moment with the things that you've already done, the things you've already succeeded with. And this is why I like to keep a win journal. We've talked about this before. It's when you're keeping track of your wins daily, and you get to look back on that. And you can actually do this in terms of pictures too, and make a beautiful little album called Wins. And they could be just beautiful moments in your life that you put into this win photo album. And so whenever you are feeling doubt or when you're feeling down, you get to go into this little photo album and just flip through all these like highlights of your life, all these moments where you felt like you were not doubting yourself, all these moments where you felt like you were being truly happy, and finding the power within those so that you can combat doubt. Moving on to 4, this is about surrounding yourself with people who want the best for you and understand you. Those are 2 different things. So there are people around you that want the best for you, but they don't know you like you know you. So they don't understand certain things. They may not understand why dance is important to you. And that's where you get to be a teacher. That's where you get to express your why. So for my client out there that has a hard time coming to dance because her spouse doesn't get it, this one's for you. We understand that they care about you. You understand that they care about you. And they're doubting something that you want in your life. So how can you show them that this is so meaningful for you? How can you be the teacher here and express to them that, hey, I actually don't want your approval. All I really want is your support in doing what I really want, which is dance. And being able to be around people that support the things you want to try. Just like, let's play this out real quick. What if the next time you're saying something to someone like, oh, I'm going to try this, they were like, wow, that's so awesome, versus really? You? And I think sometimes that is what your friend group will say. They'll say like, wow, good for you. And I think you sometimes think that they're going to say, really, you? And it's because you're getting an opportunity to project your own inner thoughts that maybe it's time to work on those. Because I hear this often. I think I talked about it last episode about like, I'm too old for that, or I'm too for that. No, you're not. You're just doubting something. There's something that's being doubted here. And it's your job to get to go deeper, 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 deeper to figure out why. Because just on one side, you can figure out why do you want to do this? You can go just as deep and figure out why you're not doing it. So the next step is more about being visual. And it's living in a moment instead of where you're rehearsing like a catastrophe. You're rehearsing something that is amazing. So it's kind of like a mental run through of what if you started doing that thing, dance, and it was awesome and it was amazing. What if you could put yourself in that moment right now and just feel what it feels like to be an amazing dancer, to be moving effortlessly on the floor, to finally feel flexible, to finally feel like you have the skill that you've wanted your whole life? Can you take a minute and put yourself into what that would feel like? And it's kind of like a soft meditation, because meditation asks for you to be in the present, usually. And this kind of meditation asks for you to live in the future you. And it asks for you to be like, what are you like when you're doing dance in this case? And wow, what cool answers you can have. Well, wow, I feel lighter. I feel this, like all the things. And guess what the best part about this is? is you get to say what it is that you want there. It's imaginary, but when you're visualizing something consistently, it's not imaginary anymore because it's actual real manifestation and it comes to your truth. The next step is choosing your voice over theirs. So it's similar to kind of like what we've been talking about, but it's just like make sure to do it because what you're saying inside your head matters. And when I say over theirs, so like your voice matters over theirs, it could be that in this case, the person who's doubting you is you. And if we separate entities here, we have you that really wants to do something, and then you that just doubts. You got to have that hard conversation with yourself. And we talked about that a few episodes ago about how to have a hard conversation. The next step is to take that big step. One big step. What can you do? So for me, in that story that I told you about my science project, it was making the step to finish my project early and to be completely done with it before I went on vacation because I felt like that was going to be the only thing that was going to hold me back. So yeah, it did take some reflection. I had to like reflect and be like, okay, well, what is going to hold me back here? Oh, okay, probably that project. Okay, I got to get the deadline. Might as well just get it done really early. So I figured out that that was what it was going to be. And then I took the steps towards it. In the situation with teaching aerobics, teaching Zumba, it was going to the person in charge that was now newly in charge, being brave and suggesting like, hey, I noticed you don't have this on the class schedule and we could try it. And it's important because it's up and coming. I didn't have to do that. And I did it. It was one step forward. And then the last thing with doubt is, I touched on this just a little bit, like because your stories and more so your self overcoming doubt is what's going to shape you. So the last one is letting doubt build you, not break you. And I really don't think that doubt is the enemy. I think it is a backwards way of being helpful too. Because do I wish that I wasn't called out of my class and accused of cheating? Like, yeah, I wish that never happened. And also, I got this like crazy opportunity to like stand up for myself that I probably never would have had at that age. And I do believe that that moment shaped me because like I was in 7th grade and like standing up to a teacher being like, I'm not doing this right now. It gives you part of your personality when you're doubted and more so when you overcome your doubt. When the class was successful at 10:30 p.m. Yeah, that told me and that taught me like, hey, some people are going to say no to you because it's not their cup of tea and they wouldn't do it. And for me, that moment was, hey, let's just try it and see what happens. And turns out that other people were like me and they wanted it. So that taught me that sometimes you got to try it out anyway. And sometimes people are putting their own doubt on themselves, on you. That can get like really, really messy. So when you're able to let it build you, you're able to trust yourself a little bit more. And this circles back to step 1, trusting yourself, trusting the process, trusting the reason why you want to do something. So as you sit here and perhaps reflect on your own doubt stories, I hope you're able to find where your personality has been shaped, where you've been able to build trust on yourself versus being broken down. And I hope that you're able to look back on it with fondness, kind of like I just did, and give yourself a moment of like appreciation or celebration just for doing it. Because as we know, life is so tricky and so hard as it is anyway. And then you throw doubt in the mix, whether it's yours or someone else's, it can be so tricky to navigate. So here is your reminder that you've got this. And that phrase of don't doubt yourself is so important to embrace because you are going to always be your biggest cheerleader if you let yourself be. And don't ever feel bad about that. Don't ever feel like, I shouldn't be my own cheerleader because now you're living in a question mark. And doubt likes a question mark. Doubt's like, ooh, let me get in there now. She's questioning herself. When you can keep yourself from questioning yourself, the doubt will stay away. And just remember that sometimes we doubt ourselves because we can't see it yet. or they can't see it yet. And what we do is we keep going anyway. We work so hard on that vision so we have a driving force, and that's helping us see what is possible. So let your consistency be louder than other people's opinions, and let your consistency also be loud enough for you to hear it. Because I would be lying if I told you that there weren't moments of doubt that I have on myself. It's a perfectly natural, normal thing, right? It is what it is. It's just we get to learn how to talk back to it, and we have those strategies in place. So use those. I think it was like 8 different steps, and think about those the next time that you are either A, doubting yourself, or B, feeling doubt from others, and you will find success from that. If this was at all helpful, I would love to ask you for a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.